Hi, y'all! Welcome to Noelle Vitale's home and workspace.
Hi, kids.
I know that you all are like, Miss Vitale has an art family. We want to see a member of Miss Vitale's art family. Well, here she is. Noelle is going to briefly talk about her job and what she's about and what kind of art she creates. It's very different than mine. All right?
Because art comes in all sorts of forms. There's people who work in design, people who paint, people who are very technical and like into robots, but everything's a form of art in a way. So I would say that in our family, I'm definitely the most like technical and engineering based. But that doesn't mean that you can't have art in your life and still be focused on math and computers. In fact, my first job at Ford Motor Company was math modeler.
Math modeler, and she's an artist.
Yeah. So art comes in place in every job. So I'm an industrial designer, and what that is, as the title
sounds.
Yeah, it's designing for the industry. So it's anything from refrigerators to cars to a collar for your dog to a wheelchair for your grandma that might help her to function in daily life. And I'm going to show you a few examples of the work I did as an industrial designer. But very specifically now, I'm working in the automotive industry for Ford Motor Company, doing car design with a great team of people in clay modeling, sketching, virtual reality, and I'll show you some of that in a minute too.
Virtual reality.
Yeah, it's the future.
Okay, I'll take the camera. So these pieces you did when you were in...
I was a student at Wayne State, so we would have to do a design board. So for this one we designed a restaurant that was for video gaming, so people could go to the restaurant at an airport and play video games. So we did a design board with our inspiration and zoom-ins of this in particular is a 3D model. So I did this on a computer, so none of this is drawn, it's all done digitally. And I built this interior space.
That looks sharp. That looks very professional.
So this is a better example of 3D modeling and sketching, and then actual building in reality. So this was made in the computer. I made a real model. This is a special machine you hook on your wheelchair to clean the mud off, so people who are moving the wheels don't get mud all over their hands. Because, in the ice and cold in the winter, that can really be a bother, and this would help people out in life. And so I did a bunch of sketches of my idea. I built practice models. I gave it to people with wheelchairs and asked them to tell me how I could do better to help them. So this is the kind of thing industrial designers do.
What class was that called?
That was called Ethnographic Research Methods for Designers. It's a class where you research how to help people in the world. I know it's a lot of big words, but pretty much it means asking people what they need and creating something just for them. So this is another thing from that class. This is a life preserver drone. So you can fly it over the water to someone who's drowning, and it can land in the water and catch somebody and save them. And so you can see I did a lot of sketching and painting, 3D modeling, and then engineering right here, where I tore the thing apart and I looked up what parts of the robot would I need to make this function but also float.
Very nice.
So that's the technical side of my work. But also as a fine art major, I also did some painting and worked on the more artistic side, because you want to get, you want to do the technical and the science, you want to do the art. It's a happy balance in industrial design. So
nice colors.
So I really love illustration and cartooning. That's one of my passions. So I always try to bring a little of that into my art. This is a painting of my grandparents that I did in a watercolor class.
Wow.
This is Miss Mia's grandparents too.
Yes. That was watercolor?
These are all watercolor.
Watercolor, everyone.
And then this is have you ever cut up magazines and then painted a collage out of them? That's what this is. This is a bunch of pieces of collage, and then I painted over them and created like a watercolor painting out of that.
So we're going to incorporate that into our work today. Yes.
Yeah. So a big part of industrial design and product design is making an inspiration board and thinking about what makes you passionate about art. And so Mia's going to show you some examples of that, because I want each of you to think about what inspires you to create what we're going to design today, which is a car.
Woohoo! Can I see that last one? This is my favorite, the one that you, the album cover artwork. That is one of my favorite.
Oh, sorry.
So Noelle designed an album cover for a band.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was for Foster the People. They had a contest, because even though I do art for work, I like to enter contests as well. And yeah, they wanted you to turn their music into a painting. So this is my example of music in the form of a painting.
Really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I wish that was on a shirt.
Oh yeah, I'd wear it.
All right. All right, let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
This one?
So welcome back. So you may be wondering, so I'm an industrial designer, but what do I do at Ford Motor Company? Am I working digitally or doing sketching? Personally, I'm doing 3D modeling, which is working in a computer to make a digital version of the car. And let me show you the steps that it takes to make a car in the design section before they actually build it. So, on a day-to-day basis, for me at my work, usually they'll show me random concept sketches of the newest car that they want to build, whether it's a truck or an SUV or, you know, a concept car. So the designer will come to me with these sketches. I usually am not the one who draws them, another artist is, because this is all artists collaborating. And then they bring it to me and I do a 3D model. And this is usually what a 3D model looks like. It's a bunch of polygonal squares that create the 3D form.
What are they called again?
They're polygons. So,
Polygons.
yeah, so these are just shapes, simple shapes. It's like building with, you know, with Legos, that kind of thing, except for it pretty much makes a tent over these green wires. And then from there, usually, I put people into virtual reality where they get to feel like they're looking at the car in real life. And so it's almost like a video game. I put them in, they get to sit in the car.
Real people?
Yeah, real people. They put in these headsets, and then they feel like they see the car in front of them. Even though they can't actually feel the car, it looks like it's in front of them.
Wow, VR.
And then they tell me things like, we want to make the wheels bigger, or something like that. When they love the car, we mill it out of clay. And then we've got these amazing clay modelers, also artists, who are scraping away at the clay and making it look great in 3D in the real world. And then usually I'll collaborate with them, the clay modelers, the sketching artists, and also other 3D modeling artists in the computer to go through each of the steps and go back and forth until we have our dream car. And then it goes into production. And then you've got cars like this. You're Miss Mia's van.
That's my van.
Yeah, and I don't think they intended for there to be a giant fish on the side, but I couldn't see it any other way.
Uh-huh.
So I think today I'm going to try to redesign your van.
That's a good idea.